This is a podcast from The Bugle.
The swordsman's back struck the rough brick of the alleyway, sharp angles pressing through the thin fabric of his cambric shirt. He had discarded his coat at the beginning of this duel, what he had thought was a duel, before the 5 additional ruffians had stepped out of the alleyway to join their master. This would serve him right, thought the swordsman wryly, parrying one thrust and returning a swipe that sent one of the henchmen howling back into the darkness with a couple of fingers missing. It would serve him right for not accepting the duel through the proper channels with a second and a doctor on sight. But his blood had been up and he'd seized the flung gauntlet with instant enthusiasm and dashed headlong into what he had been forced to realise had been a trap all along. 6-on-1 was bad odds, even reduced to 5 as they now were. He couldn't weave this impenetrable defence together for long. Sweat stung his eyes, but he dared not blink. Suddenly, he was fighting 3 men now. He saw it this time, the man crumpling silently with a dagger in his ribs as his filthy colleagues registered the suddenly less favourable odds. A slim figure in a man's shirt swung itself in beside him, protecting his injured left side, and he realised 2 things. First, his rescuer was a woman. And second, she held in her slim but capable hands the Gargle. Welcome to the Gargle, the sonic glossy magazine to the Bugle's audio newspaper for a visual world. All of the news, none of the politics. I am your host, Alice Fraser, and your guest editors for this week's edition of the magazine are Tom Neenan.
Hello!
Hello! And Emma Doran.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for having me on this, spoilers alert, might be a slightly man-heavy episode, and I'm very pleased to be the heavy man who'll be tackling it with you.
This is our man episode of The Gargle, you are so correct. But before we clutch each other's crotches in the universally heterosexual symbol of masculine affection and jump into this week's top stories, let's have a look at the front cover. The front cover of the magazine is Jeremy Irons and Daniel Craig having a man-off, which is where they face each other, frowning and look like they're about to kiss. The satirical cartoon this week is Jesus sitting down at the breakfast table with various other prophets and saints and shaking out a newspaper whose title reads The Nazareth Times, with God saying, how are things going in your old hometown, son? Managed to sort out that world peace yet? Lol. And that brings us to this week's top story in our man episode. This is the news that in the UK, sperm donors are getting a pay raise because the UK is facing a jizz shortage. Emma, you're short on jizz. Can you unpack this story for us?
Yeah, well, I didn't realise that they didn't get paid, which is unfortunate. But I was thinking, how could we entice people into giving away their precious jizz without payment? So maybe there needs to be a league chart in the clinic. I thought that could be a good way of like, who was the fastest, who had the densest cup, who was the quietest, who was the loudest, like kind of a fantasy football of jizz, kind of. I don't know a lot about men, but I know men who seem to like that kind of thing. Maybe that could help them. Then I was thinking, is there a way that we could make the experience better? Anyone I know who has jizz and has gotten rid of jizz, the main thing after that then is to sleep. So is that set up? Can they have a doze after? Are they being facilitated? I just think we have to make it more enticing, the experience. Yes. I think competition and sleep would be the 2 top things I would put in there. But I mean, it's not my area of expertise. I'll hands up.
I mean, at the moment, it's sort of complicated because people can give sperm, but then, of course, any child that is the result of that sperm has the legal right to contact them after reaching 18 years of age. And I feel like what we really want to do is double hand that, rescind that right. First of all, you don't get to find out who parented you on the sperm side. But secondly, I feel like that'd be really beneficial for men who might be wanting to sleep with younger women. Because conceivably, anyone who might be your daughter is suddenly danger zones.
Yes, and they do like to sleep with younger women. I have noticed that. That seems to be very popular. Like that's never out of fashion.
It's never out of fashion. It's always it is the black polo neck of inadvisable sexual relationships. Tom?
I was shocked as well that you get, so it was £35 and now it's going to be £45, which also they want to make clear is not, you're not being paid to donate your sperm, you're being paid compensation for travelling and also getting a hotel or something in order to donate your sperm, because they don't want to get people who are only in it for the money. They want men who are altruistically there, donating their seeds out of the goodness of their hearts and other elements. And so I think that's good. It's better than you get for donating blood, because if you donate blood, you pretty much just get a biscuit, which they can't give you if you're donating sperm, because there might be a public schoolboy there and he might get the wrong idea. So it's the rudest thing I've ever said on the Gargle, I think. That was anyway.
High fives. No, I don't know where you put that hand.
yeah, hands up just to show. So I don't know how I feel about this. Apart from anything else, it gives all those annoying men who say, when you say, have you got any children? And they say, not that I know of. Maybe they're actually telling the truth and they have been donating sperm for the £45 and they could have sired, 30 children who are going to come after them when they turn 18. Good for them. But then do they owe them any money? Do they have to give them the £45? Is that how it works?
Yes, I think they owe them. They owe them £45. I feel like when you're hunting down your estranged or long lost father or absent father, I feel like there's sort of three modes that you can go in. One is like, oh, it'd be nice to meet this person who I am biologically related to but have no personal relationship to, and I wonder what they're like, and I wonder if I'll feel any connection to them. That's like one way. The other way is like, oh, I feel really miserable with my birth family, and maybe this is another family that I could attach myself to, and it will solve all of my emotional problems. And then the third one is John Wick. You're coming with guns, you're coming with a certain set of skills, and your father is not going to make it.
That's terrifying. Just a ticking clock. If you've ever donated sperm, it could just your door could be kicked in at any minute, and that's the end of you. But hey, you got your money. You takes your choice.
I sort of think it's nice that there's a shortage. I feel like it bespeaks an increased level of a sense of responsibility about where men put their jizz.
Yeah. It's nice to hear. I feel a level of comfort in that there's a shortage. It's like my shoulders have dropped. I do find it quite strange that the word donating with sperm, it doesn't feel like that word should be used. There's something, I think you donate blood. Do you donate sperm? Could we not find a better word?
Give it up.
Yeah, you give it up. Yeah, give it up or something. Get rid.
Well, when you donate coins, you get a little charity box. It's usually in the shape of the thing you're donating for, like a little guide dog, and it's got a little hole in the top, and you put your coins in. I'm just throwing it out there. Maybe that kind of thing might make it feel a bit more charitable.
Well, I mean, don't you also get some tax back on charitable donations? Maybe you get that £45 now raised to £45 and then also 45p return on your tax. But that does mean you have to report to the government every time you jizzed into a small container.
Do you guys not do that already? That I do. I make a detailed list every day. Not every day. Come on, guys.
They've got an app now.
Yeah.
Your ad section now, because you can't be what you can't buy. Are you tired of traditional pets taking up space in your home? At the Invisible Pet Store, we offer the finest selection of invisible companions, from the silent whispers of the translucent turtle to the barely there bark of the transparent terrier. Our invisible pets are perfect for any home. Woof. No feeding, no cleaning, and no mess, just pure invisible joy. And for a limited time, buy one invisible fish, get an invisible hamster absolutely free. Visit us online. And this episode of the podcast is brought to you by the quality of moderation in this world of extremes. Billionaires and the poor, excessive luxury and horrifying scarcity, too much and not enough. Wouldn't you like to know there's something that's exactly enough? No, not nuance in comment sections online. Half a glass of water. Half a glass of water. A moderate amount of a nice thing. Flippers for walking on clouds. Boots that grow taller the longer you wear them. Sneakers that run at you. Dip a toe in if you dare to the Infinite Shoe Shop. We don't just sell shoes, we sell experiences. Infinite styles, infinite sizes. Enter if you dare. Shoes. So many shoes. At the Infinite Shoe Store, we have every shoe that's ever existed. Try and find your size today. Who took a toddler to a shoe shop? And that brings us to our next top man story in our man episode. This is the new research that men are living longer and more healthily if they live in cities than if they live in the country. Tom Neenan, you're a country boy. Can you unpack this story for us?
Quite the contrary. Not that I want to contradict you already. I'm a city boy.
Sorry, you're a contrary boy.
Ah, there you go. I live in the city. My fingers are black from the smog, and I am proud to be so because it means I'm going to live at least 2 years longer if I'm 60 or above. This is from new research from the Schaefer Centre for Health Policy and Economics, and they say that, me, a man who lives my urban life, where I get on the subway and I dance with bucket drummers and other such things, are going to live so much longer. And that's mainly due, they say, to living in the country is a dangerous life. Things that can take your life in the country, I've made a list. Falling into a grain bin and not being able to get out because the more you struggle, the more it drags you down. Being chased by a cow into a pit, that can kill you. Threshing machines, they can kill you as well. Just basically in the country, you're surrounded by very dangerous things as opposed to a city where basically, it's just hospitals and soft play areas. So you're perfectly fine. But be wary because, like I said, you're more prone apparently to illnesses, to any kind of illnesses when you're out there just because it's so cold. Also, I think... It's so cold. Also, I think that it's because the country goes by... In the city, things have to be more regimented. In the country, everything basically still goes by sort of apocryphal stories, like, red sky at night, shepherd's delight, red sky in the morning, shepherd's warning, that kind of thing. That's how they live their life in the country. Everything is just...
red sky, shepherd's pie.
Exactly. They look at the sky. That's how they dictate how most things are going to go that day. It's like, if the river runs green, then everything's clean. But if the river runs red, then you'll soon be dead. And that's how they decide what water they can drink. So basically, it's just guesswork, a lot of it in the country. They don't really know what's healthy and what's not. And that's why I, as a city-dwelling man, are going to live so much longer. And I'm so proud of that.
I think that's a wonderful thing. I think there's a fair bit of sort of drink-driving tractors while listening to sad podcasts, as far as I understand it. But, Emma?
Yeah, I saw this. I thought maybe there's an element of truth because now we did have... In Ireland, we had an awful time with the old famine. We had a bad old time with the famine. So I thought maybe there's something in that. When I was growing up, maybe there's something in that. But when I was growing up, there was a lot of ads about children getting sucked into machinery on farms. And those ads have gone. They were very scary ads. And it did seem like farms were the most dangerous place ever to live. Kids were constantly losing arms and drowning and all sorts of stuff going on. The cynical side of my brain thinks, is this people who live in the country putting this out, putting a spin because they're sick of people using them for their wellness weekends? And, I just have to be out in the country. The air is so much better. And they're sick of people coming into their villages and asking for, extra hot oat lattes. And they're just like, give me your, so I'd want to see a little bit more research before I'm totally convinced, because I think they're trying to get rid of the city people, trying to put Pilates in fields and stuff like that. They're like, that's actually my land. So
yeah, I think that's the plot of the Lord of the Rings.
Is it?
Hobbit's going, don't come here. It's terrible. Second breakfast is deadly.
Yeah.
It's the inverse is true for horses. A horse will survive a lot longer in the countryside than it will do loose in central London. I'm
that's
basing
very
that.
True. Yeah.
So don't go thinking that that's the case everywhere, because that could be very dangerous. If you put a sheep in Heathrow, it's not going to last very long.
Oh, I mean, this is the thing. Obviously, all statistics are telling only a partial story. The city is much healthier for urban men, but not, for example, if you're an old man with like one eye squinted and a flat cap. You cannot survive anywhere within the outer ring of any metropolitan area. The pigeons just come at you. They know that you're not. They know you're an invasive species.
They spot you.
Also, very unstable, those gentlemen, the guys with one eye squinted and a flat cap, because unless they're leaning against a fence, they've got no centre of gravity at all.
Yes, very true.
The way they make their way around. You're like how babies cruise, holding onto the edge of a couch. That's the way that they make their way around, just fence to fence. Which is why they get so angry if you leave a gate open.
Of course.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Because then they're trapped forever in that field.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that brings us to our reviews section. As you know, each week we ask our guest editors to review something out of 5 stars. Tom, what have you brought in for us this week?
Right, so mine is a film review. There's a film out, you might have heard about it. It's divisive between people who think it's awful and people who think it's baffling and awful. It is Francis Ford Coppola's Megalopolis, which is, it's a folly. It's a man who has just put all of his own, I think he self-funded it to make this film, which is baffling audiences up and down the country. I have not seen Megalopolis. So I've written a review of Megalopolis having not seen Megalopolis, and hopefully it makes sense. Okay. Oh boy, what a crazy movie. I have only previously seen one of Francis Ford Coppola's movies, the touching comedy drama Robin Williams starring in Jack, about a little boy who looks old and is played by Robin Williams. It also starred J-Lo as Jack's teacher. J-Lo is not in Megalopolis, neither is Robin Williams. In fact, I can't remember if in Jack he was a young boy or if he was just pretending to be a young boy in order to spend more time with his estranged family. No, wait, that's Mrs. Doubtfire. And actually thinking about it, the implications of a man in his 40s pretending to be a boy who was 9 years old in order to non-consensually spend time with young children is really sinister. So I'm glad Megalopolis is not Jack, or indeed the version of Jack I thought Jack was, which is in fact Mrs. Doubtfire. Therefore, I'm going to give it 5 stars.
5 stars for Francis Ford Coppola's White Elephant.
Sounds good.
I mean, I definitely now also don't want to watch it. So that's the review's done its job.
Excellent work.
Your experience of not watching it has really convinced me also to experience not watching it. Emma, what have you brought in for us today?
I wanted to review, it's a little bit different, but I wanted to review how I loaded my dishwasher this morning. I don't think we're ever going to see the like of it again. So it was a tricky situation because there was stuff from the dinner the night before, but there was also stuff from this morning from breakfast. So there was pots and breakfast plates and bowls. And there was
a tale as old as time.
Yeah, it just, it kind of, the tension was in the kitchen. Myself and the dogs looked at me. They're like, I don't know if you're going to pull this off. So I took my time, and if I could show you how beautifully this dishwasher is stacked, I mean, I know it's very early to mention, but it was almost akin to a Christmas kind of dishwasher stacking. And there wasn't a single thing left out of this dishwasher. And now I do have a lot of stuff going on, but while I put the dishwasher on, I gave my kitchen kind of a rage clean as well. Like a rage clean when you're having a breakdown. I was having a breakdown, but that was achieved today, and maybe other people don't care, but it meant a lot to me. And 5 stars. It's not going to happen again.
Stars.
Yeah, it's not going to happen again.
An extraordinary achievement.
Yeah, I'm
such
just
a good dishwasher stacking that it had ripple effects out and cleaned the whole kitchen.
Yeah, positivity throughout that. I am hoping that I could be getting ahead of myself now. The test will be, are the glasses clean? If the glasses have kind of the scum from the dinner, But at the moment, we're feeling very positive about it and looking forward to part 2.
5 stars pending. And look, I think you got to back yourself there, Emma. You said you don't think anyone else will be interested. I'd like to put it out to the listener. Please tweet us or blue sky us at Hello Garglers to congratulate Emma for this epic achievement.
Thanks for the support, yeah. Been a slow week, but yeah, small wins.
Small wins add up. And that brings us to our next man story of our man episode of The Gargle, which is the news that some men who attended a last dinner party concert have objected to having been treated as suspicious by security. Taken aside, searched, asked uncomfortable and probing questions. Emma, you've had a dinner party. Can you unpack this story for us?
Yes, I think so. The men that went to the gig on their own were kind of questioned, taken aside, asked various questions of what's their favorite song to kind of prove if they were real fans. I understand the reasoning behind it, but if you are going to start alienating lonely middle-aged men at music gigs, the industry will collapse. Like, they are at the forefront of the industry, you know what I mean? And as a comedian, the thing that annoys me most, or not most, but one of the things that really annoys me about gigs is when you have a gig and there's those single tickets where people have bought the tickets in the wrong way. They've left all these single tickets. So I mean, personally, I welcome the strange men at gigs. I think they're fine. I think maybe they were just having a little bit of fun with them, like a little bit of crack with them, something to kind of do. No, were they a bit sensitive? I kind of, when they talked about like how, they felt uncomfortable and made them feel strange. I was like, yeah, that's what it's like being a woman at a gig, like at a music gig, you know what I mean? I was like, yeah, that's the whole thing that we go through all the time. So I thought it was cute that their whole lives, they had just kind of been walking around. No one had been interrupting them, questioning them about who they were or making them feel uncomfortable. I think, oh, that's cute that they had been living a life like that. And I'm happy for them.
That they've had this new experience in their lives. I mean, it's hard when you get older to have new experiences. So
Yes.
It's delightful to have access to a whole new range. I also think, on the other hand, that it's not very nice when it happens to women. So it's equally not nice when it happens to men. I don't think we can dismantle the house of the master with the tools of the master, as it were.
Yes.
And maybe everyone should feel welcome at a music gig. But then I think, again, actually, the reality of music gigs is that everyone there feels like they're too uncool to be at the music gig, and that's as it should be. We go to music gigs to realize that we're not as cool as we think we are. You think
yes.
You've got it in you. You're like, I'm going to have fun. I'm going to dance. I'm going to be the kind of person I've always thought I could be. And if you're any older than 24, you fail that test very hard.
At that awkward moment when they start playing a song that you don't know, and you do the fake sing along, and you're like, oh, all these people are like super fans and they've really dressed up for this. And this one's new. I think this one's new. Yeah.
I was at a concert next to a lady who was wearing earplugs, but they were those orange kind of construction site earplugs that you can get, which is all good to protect her hearing, a very important thing to do at a concert now that we know about, ear damage and so on and so forth. But she clearly felt embarrassed about being the kind of person that was wearing earplugs to a concert, because there's nothing less cool than safety consciousness. And so what she had done was put foundation on the outside of the earplugs, and it looked like she had quite upsetting ear growths.
And she knew that you were looking at her going, she's twigged the earplugs. She's looking at them too long. She knows what's going on.
To be honest, I would not have clocked that she was wearing earplugs, because it doesn't matter to me that I think I was wearing earplugs, but I only noticed that she was wearing earplugs because I caught her out of the corner of my eye and was like, what's happening with that lady's head? Do I need to call an ambulance? Because it was obviously the foundation wasn't holding up too good, so it was sort of like half fluorescent orange, half like skin tone.
Yeah, and you don't know how ear buds are going to take foundation until you do it. You know what I mean? Nobody has that level of experience where they know how foundation holds on them. So that was tough on her. Hope she's okay. Yeah.
I do hope she's okay. Tom Neenan, would you have felt comfortable at this concert?
I feel, as the representative of men on this podcast, I have to punch the air and go, yes, we have been the victim of something. Men love it when they're the victim of something, because they're so rarely the victim of something. Like, barely ever, ever, ever. And we get to be like, this one time, can you believe it? Someone came up to them and went, oh, you think you're a fan of this band? Name 3 of their songs. The thing that men do constantly. And then it happened to us. They were made to feel uncomfortable at a music festival. The thing that men do do to women constantly. And for this one precious time, it happened to us, and we get to feel like the victim, and we love it. We get to love it. I was reading it. I've never even heard of this band before, which makes me super uncool. What are they called? The Last Supper, the Last Dinner Party. The Last Dinner Party? What are they called?
The Last Dinner Party. Yeah.
The Last Dinner Party. Apparently, their shows are theatrical, which means the music probably isn't that good, but they're quite fun to watch. And so I'm pretty sure all the men went there. They just went there to be the victim because it feels so good. It feels better than going to a music festival and feeling aggrieved. So thank you. Sorry for saying that your music probably wasn't very good. Like I say, I've never heard of it. What are they called again? Judas Iscariot. And so I apologise, but thank you for the opportunity for men to feel aggrieved at something, because it so rarely happens, and when it does, it fills up our veins with a good sort of itchy electricity that keeps us going for another 4,000 years. So thank you.
And that brings us to our final story of this week's episode of The Gargle. Long has the mythology reigned that marriage is for women. Marriage is what women want. Marriage is to protect women from the terrors of being alone in the world, and at various points in history that has been more or less true. But right now in history, it looks like the only person that marriage is good for is men. Tom Neenan, can you unpack this story for us?
Of course. What amazing news. So this is a study of 7,000 Canadians. One thing I couldn't find in the study, maybe I missed it, is whether it was all heterosexual marriages or whether it included homosexual marriages as well. But either way, what it points out is that men who became married during the study or were already married are twice as likely to age optimally compared to their never married male peers. Keep that bit in your mind, because then it also says, among women, those who were never married were twice as likely to age optimally. Basically then, what, from my point of view, this study finds out is that when you are choosing, as a man, when you are choosing your female partner, you're basically choosing your portrait of Dorian Gray. You are choosing the person whose life force you are going to be sapping in order to make yourself look better. So whenever you're on a date, whenever you're doing that kind of thing, just be aware that this person is going to deteriorate as you improve, and it's all like you're some kind of parasite on their life, which I think is both news and not news, again, from all men. So choose your partner carefully, because, like I say, you will be sapping their life force slowly, and you want to make sure it's someone with a good life force to sap as well. I think that's why so many men go with, like, kind of, exciting women, and then slowly just try and, I think it's called Jonah Hilling in the technical term. Can I say that? I don't know. Rumour has it. Anyway, you were going to say something.
I mean, just to clarify, it is for among women, those who'd never married were twice as likely to age optimally compared to marriage respondents who got widowed or divorced during the study period. So as long as you outlive the woman you've married, then you're less likely to sap her life force. Her health outcomes become slightly worse, but not
okay,
significantly worse. If you divorce her or die on her, then she's.
I feel like, being a widow does sap your life force just because of by nature of being a widow creates an image in someone's mind, probably unfairly, that you are an older lady. And so in their minds, they create an older picture of you in their mind, which is unfair. Because in the UK, we had an advert for Scottish widows. And this woman was in her mid-30s. She must have got married and then before.
To be fair, Scottish men don't live long.
That was what they were trying to tell us all along.
Statistically speaking.
Yes. That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, this is an extraordinary story. It really does seem like marriage is kind of a cure-all for men, and not so good for women. Emma, your thoughts?
Yeah, when I saw this, it made me think of my mother. Like, she's a very traditional Irish woman in the sense that she hates my dad. She hates that she is married to him. Like, she loves him, but she hates him. And the latest thing she said to me earlier in the week, I called into her and she said, he's been up in the toilet again. And I'm like, what does she want him to do? Bury it out in the garden? I don't understand. But what I noticed as well, like she really, but what I know, when you're speaking about widows, what tends to happen is when men are widowed, they meet somebody else within 6 months to a year and lock something down fairly lively. With women, they tend not to meet somebody else. They tend not to remarry. And I used to think that it was because these little widowed women were just so sad and that they could never move on, and it was to loyalty to their husbands. And as I get older, and I am now with my partner for like 18 years, I'm starting to realize they just are enjoying the peace and quiet. They are just enjoying the bit of time to themselves. Finally, they can, put as many cushions as they want on the couch, and they can, light smelly candles without somebody going, "What's that smell?" Just the tranquility of being on their own.
Until they die in a horrifying candle and cushion fire.
Yeah, well, that's an issue. They'll obviously fall asleep or whatever. But no, I 100% believe this, and I wouldn't be surprised if my own mother had funded this research in some way. You know what I mean? So yeah, men do. Look, I'll say this. I love my partner. I love when we have children together. We've been together since our early 20s. But sometimes I would have this fantasy where it's like me and him, and he dies. Do you know what I mean? Just like, I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean,
just lifted from the earth by a giant eagle and carried off to climes unknown.
Exactly, something kind of poetic. And then born free,
painlessly squashed by a piano.
But I'd be young enough still to kind of, move on. But anyway, yes, this research is factual. I give it approval.
Wonderful news for the people at the University of Toronto's Factor Iwintash Faculty of Social Work and the Institute of Life Course and Aging. I feel like if you get a PhD in the Institute of Life Course and Aging, you're a very particular kind of person.
Yeah, that's what you say, basically. If you don't, I didn't go to one of your normal schools. I got a PhD from the School of Life Course and Aging, and that's why I look like this.
I think you would probably just learn as much about aging by sitting in a pub for an afternoon and how it can affect people differently with different lives. I think you'd be like, oh yeah, I understand it now. Yeah, makes sense.
Well, that brings us to the end of this week's episode of The Gargle. I'm flipping through the ad section at the back. Flip, flip, flip. Emma, have you got anything to plug?
I do. I'm on tour at the moment. My tour is called Dilemma, and I'm touring all over Ireland and the UK. And I'll be in Newcastle, Liverpool, Bristol, but I've never been to any of these places, so I'm very excited. I know, yeah. I'm going to be in Leicester Square Theatre. October is sold out, but there's a date in March. So yes, I'm very excited. I can't wait.
That sounds magnificent. Leicester Square Theatre is a beautiful space. If you're in any of those places, look Emma up on website. Website
is emmadorancomedy.com.
emmadorancomedy.com. Tom, have you got anything to plug?
As per, I'm at TP Neenan on Instagram, if you want to see what I'm doing there, at T Neenan on X, but everyone's slowly migrating off of that because it's horrible. I would say The Haunting, my Radio 4 show, I think is available via Penguin Books, audiobooks, or Audible. And I've got a new thing. I wrote an episode of a very exciting sci-fi comedy show with... I think I can talk about it. I'll see. Anyway, it's for Audible, and it was with David Reed, and I think I can say that, and I think it's coming out very soon, but I'm not sure what it's called, because so I'm not sure what it's called, but anyway, keep an eye out for all those things. I'll probably post it on Instagram.
Just listen to everything on Audible.
Yeah,
just hear Tom Neenan's voice.
Take it all in. But that was really fun, and we're really proud of the results of that. So I'll be putting that on my Instagram stories or something once that's available to get as well. Also, seeing as this is a man episode, I did a podcast ages ago called Tom Neenan is Not All Men, which is available via BBC Sounds, and that is probably worth. It's like, I think there's like 9 episodes, and they're very fun, and I'm very proud of those. So give those a listen if today's discussion of men has really inspired you to find out more about 49% of the population. Men. Yeah, exactly.
You can buy my book. It's coming out on the 6th of February in 2025. It is it's still available online at unbound.com. It's called A Passion for Passion, and we're going to do lots of events in February next year, so keep the entirety of February free for those purposes. You can find me online at patreon.com/Alice Fraser. It's a one-stop shop for all of my stand-up specials, podcasts and blogs. If you are in Tokyo, I am doing a workshop writing intensive on the afternoon of the 12th of October. So if you'd like to write with me, please go to linktree/Alice Fraser. That's linktr.ee/Alice Fraser for the application form to do the Tokyo intensive. I'm also doing 2 shows in Tokyo that you can find out about on my patreon.com/Alice Fraser. This is a Bugle podcast, an Alice Fraser production. Your editor is Ped Hunter. Your executive producer is Chris Skinner. I'll talk to you again next week.
You can listen to other programmes from The Bugle, including The Bugle, Catharsis, Tiny Revolutions, Top Stories and The Gargle, wherever you find your podcasts.